together with Euro Sports Bets. Yeah, the twins, they be checking in, stacking up. Green is the scene that you're stepping in. Winning is a trend, and we stay making dollars. Nerd talk with the sports bet scholars. Yeah, it's R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies.
Are live. Welcome back to another edition of the Euro Sports Bet Show. We're breaking down some college baseball regional action, regional futures, super regional futures, college World Series futures, all that fun stuff there. So we got plenty to go over. No recaps at the moment this is just the show here. But we have 16 regionals to go over, and then we will give out some super regional thoughts and things along those lines. So, how do you like to start this, Tim? You want to start with just the number one regional, or?
Yeah, let's start with let's start 1 to 16, 8 to 9, like as if we're going down the bracket.
All right. Yeah. Let me start typing in these odds for the regionals here, as we have the number one overall seed Tennessee Volunteers in the Knoxville region. We have Southern Miss, your 2 seed out of the Sun Belt Conference. You have Indiana out of the Big Ten as your 3 seed, Northern Kentucky as your 4 seed in this one here. All the odds that will be typed up and going there will be courtesy of Bovada. I put money into Bovada just to be able to bet these on the side type of thing here. So Tennessee minus 450, the monster favorite. They are the number one team in the nation. Southern Miss plus 475. Indiana 10-1. Northern Kentucky 40-1. Obviously, the Norse here out of the let's see. Let me type this. Northern Kentucky. They are out of the Horizon League. Yes, they were ranked number 149 in the RPI. They won their Horizon League. That is how they punched their ticket into this tournament. Out of the Big Ten, Indiana went 32-24 this year. Did they win the Big Ten tournament? I don't remember one. They did not, but they were the 55th. They were 55th in the RPI heading into this one here. And then we have Southern Miss out of the Sun Belt, who is 26th in the RPI. They finished 41-18. Really solid Sun Belt team, including a really solid 25-6 record at home. That doesn't mean anything, no. They were 12-9 on the road. And then the number one seed, the SEC champions, Kentucky won the regular season. Kentucky won the SEC regular season. Tennessee won. No, Tennessee won the. Tennessee won.
Tennessee won both. Tennessee and Kentucky tied for the regular. Tennessee and Kentucky tied for the regular season title, but Tennessee had the tiebreaker because they won the series against them in the year.
There you go. They went 50-11, 35-3 at home, playing an SEC schedule. I have really no interest in betting this region personally. I don't lay minus 450. If your book lets you parlay regional winners, maybe Tennessee is just a parlay piece. If I have to take a stab on someone, it's probably Southern Miss at plus 475, but I really have no interest in that at all.
All right, let's jump into it. I am on Southern Miss to win the regional, and it's only because I wanted to take a shot at somebody. We actually just saw these two teams, Tennessee and Southern Miss, play last year, and I believe it was in a regional. I believe it was in the Knoxville regional, or they might have played in the super regional. But they played against each other recently in the tournament, and it was a very competitive back and forth between them. I'm just trying to remember whether or not it was in regionals or supers. I want to say it was in supers, because Tennessee. Let's see, Tennessee was down here. It was in super regionals last year. Southern Miss made it out of the Auburn region. Tennessee made it out of the Clemson. They played in Tennessee, and it was a 2-1 series. So very, very competitive. Southern Miss, I would have to rank them one of the top 3 for non-Power 5 schools. I think if I had to go and put them in there right now, it's them, it's ECU, and it's Santa Barbara, and then everybody else. But I will say it's not going to be easy to beat Tennessee, who was obviously 35-3 at home this year. But I got like 375 or something with that with Southern Miss. Now I will quickly tag on the other 2 teams. Indiana, I don't know how the hell they made it in the tournament. I'll be completely honest. 32-24-1. They finished 55th in the RPI, and they made it in over Charlotte's College of Charleston, and they made it over TCU, which to me makes 0 sense. Yes, I know the Big Ten was a little bit better this year. Nebraska, Illinois, both having solid seasons. Both of them also in the field. Actually, sorry, Illinois is in the field, right? I want to say they're in the field.
Yes.
Yes. So it's just I don't know how Indiana got there, but I will give props to Northern Kentucky winning the Horizon League. They went 35-22 this year, 19-11 in conference. I believe they played Georgia this year. They got swept by Georgia. They played Mizzou. They won 2 out of 3 against Mizzou. I will say Indiana and Northern Kentucky played, and Indiana won 11-5. But there's not really any significant wins wins in general on this Northern Kentucky team that makes me think they could have a shot to beat Tennessee at all. I think Tennessee clobbers them in the first game. Southern Miss takes care of Indiana, and then we get a really good matchup. And you should be able to see both Tennessee and Southern Miss keep their number ones for each other. I don't think either of those teams have a trouble in the first game. Indiana probably knocks out Northern Kentucky. The loser of Tennessee, Southern Miss knocks out Indiana, and then we get Tennessee and Southern Miss in the championship for the regional. And if it comes down to that, I get some nice plus money with Southern Miss. So that's where I'm going to go for the opener. I'm going to take a little bit of a shot, and you're going to notice when it comes to regionals and stuff, I'm going to take shots with teams that are big plus money, and this is only the beginning.
Fair. I did not mean to click that. There we go. All right. So yeah, I'm staying off this region personally. So then all right, yeah, we'll get into super regionals in after the regional breakdown. There. We'll move to the one where I know you and I will be at every single game played in this regional here. This is in Greenville, North Carolina at Clark LeClaire Stadium, home of the East Carolina Pirates, which are one of 2 teams that are not favored to win their own regional. For those wondering, back in 2022, also, this was a similar situation. East Carolina hosts their own regional. They made Virginia the favorites, and ECU won the region. Let's get into it here, where we have
and Virginia didn't even make the finals in that one. It was Coastal Carolina. Anyways, go ahead.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it was Coastal Carolina, and it was Coppin State as the 4th seed in that one there.
Coppin State had a good game against Coastal. I remember that one.
Yeah, that was a fun one there. But yeah, we have East Carolina coming in. I was personally surprised. Pleasantly surprised, but I was personally surprised to see ECU host a regional. They were number 23 in the RPI. Now, I know a lot of people say John Gilbert, the AD of East Carolina, is on the committee, so that's how they got a regional. You got to remember, this team, when they're healthy, is a top 8 team in the nation. And they went 43-15 this year, 26-4 at Clark LeClaire. And they get in their regional Wake Forest, who is the preseason number 1 team in the nation. They were 9th in the RPI, 38-20, and they were 25-7 in Winston-Salem. Now they have to travel to play regionals here in Greenville. And then the other 2, VCU, the A-10 champions, were 37-21 this year. they finished 75th in the RPI. And then Evansville was an interesting team. They finished 76th in the RPI. They won the Missouri Valley Conference, 35-23 on the year. They beat Indiana State, which took away a regional from Indiana State, I believe, in the Missouri Valley Conference Championship game. They're a sneaky little 4 seed. I don't think they beat East Carolina, and this will be the first play for me in this one. I think it's outright disrespectful that ECU is not favored in their own region. I get it. Wake Forest is a good team, and that Saturday matchup between potentially Trey Savage and Chase Burns is going to be insane. But with that being said, I think VCU is live to potentially flirt with an upset in that first round of the tournament. And for me, also, I am going to be on ECU to win their super as well. That's a little something there, plus 650. I've already got them 30-1 or 25-1 preseason with a free bet. So they're one. Yeah. But yeah, I got 25-1 then with them. I'm going to take them plus 155 to win the Greenville region. I'm going to take them plus 650 to win the super regional here. Obviously, my bets to win supers are smaller than to win the region. So I got plus 155 for ECU to win the Greenville regional and plus 650 to win the super regional. I see this as a regional that ECU should at worst be a pick 'em for. So they're at home, 26-4 at home. We've seen them before not be favored to win their own regions and win it anyway. So give me some Pirates here, plus 155 to win the region.
Wake Forest should have hosted. I'll be the first advocate for it, but I will say it kind of just shows because I like to look at because last year 16 out of the 17 the 16 top seeds in the RPI rankings, 15 out of the 16 got hosting spots. The only other one, the one that was not top 16 and got one was Alabama. They were 17th. Campbell was 15th. They did not get one. But you look at it this year, going all the way down, Wake Forest is 9th in the RPI. Indiana State was 10th in the RPI. Neither of them hosting. Duke was 16th in the RPI. They didn't get to host. ECU 22nd, which I like. That's at the end of the day, I don't really think RPI matters all that much. And this was an ECU team when healthy, before Root went down, before Shankman went down, before Savage had the collapsed lung. This team was healthy, and they were solid. Now, they still will be missing Jake Hunter. He's out for the year. But you look at it, I just think it's disrespectful that ECU is this big of a dog. I understand everybody and their mother is already saying Chase Burns versus Tennessee in the Super Regionals. Everybody's pumping up that one. Everybody's already counting ECU out. I don't think so. Because when you have a dynamic duo of Savage and Root as your 1-2, not to mention neither of them are going to start against Evansville.
No,
they're not.
Maybe Ethan Norby.
It's probably going to be Ethan Norby or Shankman. Most likely Norby. You'll probably see Shankman.
I'd save Shankman for a potential Wake Forest game where you can go from Savage to Shankman to Beal.
You could.
Or Beal to Shankman.
You could definitely do that. I personally, I would probably go. They're probably going to go Norby the first game, but I think ECU makes it out of this regional. If this is a year for Omaha, it's got to be the year for Omaha because next you look at the players that they're going to be losing over the offseason. Cunningham, Starling, even Barini, and the outfield JJC, Savage, Riley Johnson, Will Coxon. You're going to lose a lot of players. So if if the ECU is going to make it to Omaha, this has got to be the year. 43-15. I believe this is the 6th straight 40-plus win season for East Carolina. 5 straight regular season American Conference championships. Now, another reason why a lot of people are down on them at the moment is that was an ugly American Conference tournament. Not going to sugarcoat it. It was rough. But you look at it, Wake Forest, is we'll move on from ECU. We'll talk about the other teams real quick. Wake Forest was the number 1 team preseason. They had a little bit of a bumpy road, and then they straightened themselves out. And they lost a series to Duke. They lost badly to Coastal Carolina earlier in the year. They lost a series to Virginia. They got swept by North Carolina at home. So this is just a team that struggled early in the year, but since then they've looked solid. And they even had could have had a shot to beat UNC. They did beat UNC. They played Florida State in the semifinals, and they lost that game. So I look at it. Wake Forest is a solid team, but they can't take VCU too lightly. I think they should throw Burns against VCU. VCU was 37-21 to start the year, or 37-21. They've won 6 straight games. They went 15-8 in conference, 7-0 in neutral sites, 12-12 on the road. So that's going to be a little bit. But for this one, it would be a neutral site between them and Wake Forest. It's not a home game for either team. VCU's could be a very dangerous 3 seed, and they could take down Wake Forest. And then Evansville, it was a great story that they made it here out of the Missouri Conference. Big wins in the conference tournament. Again, two against Illinois State. I will say that Missouri Conference run for them was very, very impressive. Run rule win against Illinois State. Run rule win against UIC. Run rule against Illinois State. 8-6 against Indiana State. Very impressive. I will give them that. But when it comes to it, I think the top 2 teams in this conference are a little bit too much for Evansville. I still think East Carolina mixed out.
I like it. All right, we'll then move on to the next region. We go from the 16 to the 8. We're going to go like that. Yep. Where we have the Florida State Seminoles. We have the Tallahassee Regional here, where we have Florida State coming into this one. The ACC tournament runner-ups. They were 42-15 this year in the ACC, 27-4 at home. They were the 8th team in the RPI, or they ranked 8th in the RPI. They will be playing host to Alabama. And this is something you will see in every single regional hosted by an ACC team, the 2 seeds at an ACC school. Alabama plus 210. Yep. They finished 24th in the RPI, 33-22 overall this year. And then after that, we have out of the they're gonna have it under UCF here, right? Yep, out of the Big 12, 35-19, the Knights of Central Florida. They finished 33rd in the RPI, 35-19 this season. And then the 4 seed here, out of the ASUN, they finished 100th in the RPI. Stetson, the Hatters, 40-20 this year. They're a fun little squad here, Stetson, where if you're looking at a Florida seed that could pull off an upset, and I have Florida State written down 2-1 to win their super regional. But if you're looking for a 4 seed that can make some noise and maybe cover a spread in the first game, if I can get 3.5 runs with Stetson, I'm very interested in them here. They're a team that I'm sure you're going to go over it when you talk Stetson here. I believe they had a couple really nice wins this year, which I'll let you go over. I won't steal your thunder with that. But I have no interest in betting a winner for this regional. The only way I would approach this is taking Florida State to win the super regional, or maybe taking a small stab on Stetson at 11-1 in the in the Tallahassee region, and maybe you might be able to get a better price on Florida State if they lose the first game, type of thing in this spot. Maybe I think that's the way I'm going to approach this one. I know I only have 9 teams written down that I would like to bet regional props for. Maybe I talk myself into 1 or 2 more. Stetson may be one of those to take a flyer on at 11-1 as a 4 seed. I usually cross out 4 seeds for regionals. But we saw Oral Roberts make it to Omaha last year. I'm not saying Stetson's going to do that. I'm just saying if you're Florida State, don't overlook Stetson. They can pull off an upset.
If you're Florida State or UCF, both Florida State and UCF have played against Stetson this year. They each played 2 games against them, and they both split. Stetson has beaten both Florida State and Central Florida this year, not to mention another team in the field, Florida. So Stetson has some wins. They're not a team to be sleeping on, and they played Georgia as well. They lost that game. They won 7-4. I remember that night because I had Stetson that night. That was beautiful to see. And at that point, I'm like, yeah, there's something wrong with Florida. But even you've seen – Stetson took 2 out of 3 from Florida State. I forgot because they won the first matchup. Hold on, I'm pulling this. They lost the first matchup 1-0 in March. The following matchup against Florida State. Oh no, they only played 2. They only played 2 because they won 10-5 in the second one. I'm getting all these Florida teams mixed up. Either way, both of them split. But let's look at the teams. Obviously, we just talked about Stetson. Definitely one. I'll call them the second most dangerous 4 seed. I think that's fair. Florida State looks solid this year. Obviously, they took a big step up. They almost missed. I think they missed the tournament last year. Did they miss the tournament last year? I want to say they did. Yeah, they missed the tournament altogether last year, and now they're an 8 seed nationally. So definitely a lot better looking for this Florida State team. Big step up, made the finals in the ACC tournament, lost to Duke, but Duke's looked really solid down the stretch. I think Florida State's I have Florida State going to Omaha. So I'll stick that one out there now. I have them going to Omaha. This is a solid squad. Alabama was one of the bubble teams that I'm surprised made it, but at the same time, I'm not because they have the SEC logo next to their name. They're just a little bit lackluster this year. They didn't play a hard schedule. They did play a Frisco Classic, which they have. They played Indiana, which they won. They played Arizona, which they won. And they played Dalbap, which they lost. So they have played a couple of tournament teams not in the SEC tournament or not in the SEC. They do have an impressive Alabama was Tennessee's only SEC series loss, and that was March 15, 16, 17. So that says something there. They got swept by Georgia. They won 2 out of 3 against South Carolina. They got swept by Kentucky. Like, this is just a lackluster team that I don't see much going on with Alabama. Central Florida is another one of those bubble teams that I was very surprised got in. They were 35-19, but they were a game under 500 in conference, 14-15. That's just a little bit of a lackluster team. I think Florida State has one of the easier brackets. I think Stetson or Central Florida gives them the biggest fits. But I wouldn't hate your stab with Stetson to win the regional. If a 4 seed was to win it, it's either them or I'll give it out. Or I'll mention the other one, Tulane. Those are the only 2 I really see winning a regional or having a chance to win a regional as a 4 seed. But I'm going to be on Florida State to make it to Omaha.
I think I'm talking myself off of Florida State to win the Super Regional at 2-1 and putting a half unit on Stetson to win the regional at 11-1.
I'm not going to talk you off.
I am genuinely interested in Stetson in this spot. We've seen them be able to play really good teams really hard, and I mean, I'm going to put a half unit on it. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Give me Stetson 11-1 to win the Tallahassee region.
I give you props on that one. Right on. That works. Now, I will say this next region is very, very interesting to me.
I originally had immediately I'm going to bet this one team to win the region when it was announced. And then I saw the number you have to bet with the team because we have the Norman region in Norman, Oklahoma, where we have the Sooners hosting this regional here. They, in the Big 12 this year, were the 11th team in the RPI rankings. They went 40-17. They're 21-5 at home this year. They play the ACC champion Duke Blue Devils. What a terrible draw for the Oklahoma Sooners in this one here. I thought Duke should have hosted their own regional. Duke, 16th in the RPI, 39-18 out of the American Coast, or no, not the American Coast Conference. The Atlantic Coast Conference. Thank you. I am drawing my
Atlantic Coast Conference.
Yeah. So they won that conference. And then in the 3 seed, we have the Big East champions, Connecticut Huskies. They're 7-1 to win the region, 32-23 this year. And then in the 4 seed, we have a very familiar face, the Summit League champions of this year, a super regional champion of last year, the Oral Roberts Golden Eagles. This is a different Golden Eagles team, though. They finished 266 in the RPI rankings. They were 27-30 in a very bad Summit League. I have no interest in Oral Roberts this year. I get it. They had a nice run last year, which may be able to allow us to get a better number fading them this year in the first game against Oklahoma, because everybody remembers Oral Roberts made Omaha last year. This is a different team. They lost a lot of seniors in the offseason. Oklahoma
transfers too.
Yeah. Oklahoma draws my attention a little bit more at this number. Originally, I thought I got to bet Duke. Duke has to be the team here. I'm not laying $1.35 on a 2 seed. I'm just not doing it. That's just not going to happen. It'd be OU or nothing for me. And I have no interest in betting this region. I think whoever wins this regional, I mean, if they get Stetson, will probably make the supers. So I think here's the way to approach it is, and originally I had Florida State at 2-1 to win the super. And now that my interest in who do you call it has gone up, Stetson. If Stetson does win the regional, I mean, I think the better way to approach this, if you like either of these, is just take Duke to make Omaha or Oklahoma to make Omaha at this point. But if it's Florida State, I don't want that. So it's just a small stab for me with Stetson. So I still believe Florida State wins that regional, but I just thought at 11-1 there that it was a little bit of value there. For me, I can only look Oklahoma at plus 140. Now, I originally only wanted Duke, but when I saw they were minus odds favorites in this, and I get it, Duke's a good team. They probably win this regional. I can only look Oklahoma at this price.
Now, I will say, I bet all my futures on DK. I got Duke at plus 115. So I got a lot better of a line than you did, which gives me Duke. Yeah. Well, it's also different books. I like Duke in this regional. This is a Duke team that is on a roll right now. As much as I hate to say it, I think Duke could be a Omaha team. That being said, I still have Florida State going to Omaha. Let's go jump into them. Oklahoma had a very, very impressive year. They won the Big 12 by 5 games. So this is a team that's been solid, 37-19, 23-7 in the conference. They did lose the Big 12 championship game to Oklahoma State. It gave Oklahoma State a regional. So I looked at that one. It's just Oklahoma looks solid. I thought they should have been a top 8 seed, to be honest. Georgia ended up getting a top 8 seed over them, which I'm not going to argue with Georgia getting one either. So I'm not going to say that they don't deserve it. But I think Oklahoma should have been a top 8 national seed. They draw Duke, which is rough. But I will say, and you talked about Duke, ACC champions, 39-18 this year, won the ACC tournament. They did not win the ACC regular season. That was the Tar Heels. And the main reason why Duke isn't hosting a regional, there's 2 reasons. A, their facilities are not up to par. And B, they had a 214th ranked out-of-conference strength of schedule. which when you're looking at it, that's going to draw some major red flags for the committee. Obviously, they did good enough to make the top 16 RPI. It's because they were beating good teams and when they went to non-conference, they were 19-4. Obviously, some rough losses. I know Ryder was in there. Who else did they lose to? They had a loss to Akron earlier in the year at home. Lost to Ryder. Who else beat them in a William and Mary beat them. They had a loss. They had a run rule loss at Campbell. They lost a series to Georgia Tech. They lost a series to North Carolina. That's why Duke's not hosting. Now, I'll quickly rule out Oral Roberts. They were 27-30-1. I'm going to call them the worst team in the field. They did not deserve. Obviously, they won the Summit. They went 13-15-1 in the Summit League. They were not good this year. 9-13-1 on the road. They're not going to win anything. So we'll just rule them out altogether. An interesting sneaky team. I'm not betting them. Is UConn. The runner-ups. Well, not runner-ups because they did not. But they didn't even make the Big East championship game. But this is always a UConn team that's very dangerous. Get into the tournament. They went 17-4 in conference, 16-5 at home, and yeah, they had a little bit of a losing streak to end the year. If you're interested, I know a lot of people talk Oklahoma, a lot of people talk Duke. I'm on Duke personally. I wouldn't hate sprinkling a little bit on UConn to win the region at 7-1. They are a dangerous team. If you don't treat them the right way, if Duke's going to overlook UConn, they're going to lose that game. It's that type of game. Well, if Duke plays the same way they play in the ACC tournament, it won't be a problem. But watch out for UConn. I think UConn could definitely be an interesting team. I'm personally on Duke to win the regional. But I do not have them going to Omaha. I have them losing to Florida State.
Fair.
The next regional, I know me and you will disagree on. And I think I'm gonna fade the public in the next one.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into it here. We have the Chapel Hill region with North Carolina, your national 4 seed. They finished 4th in the RPI. They finished 42-13 overall and 32-2 in Chapel Hill this year. Just a crazy record there. That wine and cheese crowd get to enjoy in Chapel Hill there. They get the LSU Tigers as the 2 seed. Once again, a regional with an ACC host with an SEC 2 seed. Get used to it. They would finish 40-21 this year, 23rd in the RPI. And then we get the Wofford. We get Wofford here out of the SoCon. Wofford Retrievers out of the SoCon. That's a fun one there. 41-18, 22-5 at home this season. They're 6-1 on neutral sites, and on the road they're 13-12. They're 10-1 to win the regional. Maybe they give a little bit of a fit to LSU. I don't know. LSU is still a powerhouse. They're really strong. And then one team that I would very, very much enjoy to see win this regional, which is never going to happen. We get our Sharks from LIU. They're 40-1 win the region. They were 195th overall this year out of the Northeastern Conference, 33-23. They were 9-18 away from Long Island now. On Long Island, they were 20-4. So they were a very strong home team. Granted, you played the the Northeastern Conference. You did not play any strong opponents. It's one of the worst conferences in college, Division I, and we know that with basketball as well. I am only looking at LSU in this regional. I get it. North Carolina is good. They're 32-2 at home. And yeah, they probably should be favorites in this region. But with that being said, I think LSU is good enough to give them a fight. Now the question is, do I move on LSU? I had LSU plus 115 to win the regional, plus 210 to win their super regional written down, because I can see them beating the 13 seed, which I believe is UC Santa Barbara.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, which they would have to go to Santa Barbara, which actually looking
No,
at that
sorry,
now,
Arizona. It's the Arizona region. They get Arizona.
no.
West
Yeah.
Virginia.
What do you call it? They're the 14 seed, I believe. Santa Barbara.
Yes, Santa Barbara.
I am extremely interested in LSU. I'm not as high on North Carolina as I know a lot of people are. I'm going to take I'm going to pull the trigger on these. I know you're against me on these, but LSU to win the Chapel Hill region plus 115, LSU to make Omaha at plus 210. I'm taking both of those here in the for this regional.
That's cool. UNC makes Omaha. I think the winner of this regional does make Omaha, unless it's LSU and Baptist, Dalbap. Because then I would go Dalbap. But I look at this. I feel like everybody. I feel like the public 2 seed darling is either LSU or Wake Forest, and I'm not going to argue with either one of those. Of why they're both like big public. Both teams played in Omaha last year. They played each other for a trip to Omaha last year. That was the Paul Sneaks game versus Chase Burns. Not Chase Burns. Paul Sneaks game in the game before Omaha, the game that sent LSU to the College World Series, the finals, on a Tommy White home run. But I will say that this will be a fun one. And I do like UNC to make it out of the region. By the way, this will be Tommy White coming back to North Carolina for the first time since his NC State Wolfpack days. I will mention that. So maybe a little bit of rivalry there. By the way, Nick, I think you missed the 7-10. Just figure I mentioned that.
Shit.
I was looking.
No, yeah.
I was looking to see the NC State one. NC State, yeah. This is Tommy White's first time back, but I look at this. All right, let's jump into the teams. UNC, you mentioned them earlier, 32-2 at home this year, 42-13 overall. They're the number 4 team overall in the nation. Regular season ACC champions. They're a very solid bunch with a top 10 draft pick in Vance Honeycutt. The defending national champion LSU Tigers had a really rough start to the season. I believe they had one of the ugliest losses. Yes, February 23rd. I know it was very, very early. They lost to Stony Brook at home. I remember that one early. Then they ended up getting revenge on them. LSU made a nice run in the SEC tournament. They almost played themselves into hosting a regional. When about 4 weeks ago, they were a bubble team, whether or not they were going to get in. So they are on a nice little run right now, but I feel like this could be another very similar situation to the Wake Forest VCU game is the LSU Wofford game. LSU, you cannot overlook this Wofford team. They went 41-18 this year in the SoCon and 22-5 at home. Obviously, they're on the road where they went 13-12. Now, does Wofford have any big wins? No. They really don't. I'm scrolling through their schedule. They didn't really have much competition, which is understandable why they went the record they did. But this team has the offense to do it. They have solid enough pitching to win. And then LIU has no chance. I'm not even going to break into them. I will say LIU has a nice win over Miami earlier in the year. Cool. Other than that, they really have no key big wins. They have one win against a team that's in the tournament, Nick. That was a 3-2 win against Army. So, LIU's not doing anything. They're getting blown out by UNC. They're going to get blown out by Wofford, and that's it. I know you like seeing your Sharks in there, but it is what it is. I think UNC makes it out of the regional. I got them at -110. on DK. So I really like UNC, and I have UNC to go to Omaha. I believe that was 280. 280 for them to make Omaha. This is a UNC team that this could be a year. I wish I kind of the odds weren't good enough. I wish I kind of sprinkled UNC to win it all because they have a team to do it. They have the pitching, they have the offense, and they, not to mention, their trip to Omaha goes through North Carolina. They are not leaving Chapel Hill the entire postseason until Omaha. And that in itself is a huge advantage for this team. So I'm going UNC to win the regional, UNC to win the super. And I think UNC at the end of the day makes Omaha. So UNC for me in this one.
Yeah, and it's up to you whether or not you think the juice is worth the squeeze. They're 15-1 to win the College World Series this year.
I don't hate
LSU. LSU is 10-1.
Yeah, LSU's favored more because they have the SEC logo next to their name.
Also, my ultimate question with LSU, Tim, is: are they in a situation where they're getting right at the right time?
It could be. This LSU team could remind me a lot of that Ole Miss team that made the run, of that Mississippi State team that made the run. But no, I think UNC is a little bit too strong for them.
Fair. I'm on LSU plus 150.
Gio coming in. Sap Gio's in the chat. Welcome. $199 donation, showing some love. Good luck tonight, my guys. Let's get it. Stop Gio. Hopefully we get some good luck in college baseball tournaments as well. Now, if you're a Mississippi State fan, this would be the team I'm most pissed at right here.
Arizona?
Yes.
Let's get into it. We had the Tucson region, the Arizona Wildcats out of the Pac-12, the Pac-12 champion Arizona Wildcats, 36-21 this year, 19-7 in Tucson. 31st in the RPI rankings, and they get to host a regional. Very, very interesting there. As the 2 seed in this regional, they get why is this not? Is it? What am I doing wrong here? Why can't I find the Patriots here? Let me go just by this. It's under DBU. That's why. And the 2 seed, because I'm typing in Dal, looking for Dalbap, or Dallas Baptist. We have the CUSA champions here, the Dallas Baptist Patriots, right? They won their
Yes, they won 17-10 over La Tech.
There you go. They are 17th in the RPI rankings, 44-13 this season, 14-7 away from Dallas. Next we get Take Me Home Country Road, West Virginia, 33-22, 14-14 away from Mountain Mama out of the Big 12, 37th in the RPI there. So they are barely lower than Arizona, their 1 seed here in this one. And then we get the Antelopes of Grand Canyon out of the WAC, 96th in the RPI rankings, 34-23 on the year, 15-11 away from Grand Canyon. And this one here, I love Dallas Baptist out of this region an awful lot. And Dalbap and LSU, I think, could be a very fun matchup. If you're looking on paper here, I think LSU would host that regional. I'm betting Dallas Baptist to win this region, by the way. And I kind of want to split it between Dallas Baptist. Dallas Baptist would host. Okay. I would like to split it between Dallas Baptist to win the region and West Virginia to win the region. I don't think West Virginia should be 4-1 in this regional. And this is just mainly a fade of Arizona is ultimately what this would be. I don't know if I don't want to bet both, but at the same time, Dallas Baptist has been a team the last few years that I've really liked that has had no success in regionals. I don't remember the last time they've won a regional, and I've backed them a few times. Huh?
Yeah, they don't have much success in regionals, correct?
Which makes me kind of want to pump the brakes on Dallas Baptist a little bit and maybe take a shot with the Mountaineers at 4-1. And this is one of those where I wanted to talk it out before I pulled the trigger on it, because I may be talking myself into a little bit of West Virginia here at 4-1. I don't think that they should be this big of dogs in this regional. I think they should be up around the $2 range. And when we look at West Virginia, I see them as they had tougher competition this year. Big 12 is definitely tougher than definitely tougher than Conference USA and the Pac-12.
Yes.
So am I crazy maybe to flip the script here and maybe take a little West Virginia to win the Tucson region?
You're not crazy, but I do like Dalbap. And call me crazy, I think Grand Canyon could have a shot here. Now let's jump into them. We'll jump into Grand Canyon first, because I know that was a little bit crazy to say. Grand Canyon did not win the WAC. Then why are they in the tournament? Because the WAC conference champions was Tarleton State. Why is that significant? Because Tarleton State just joined Division I and is not eligible to play in the College World Series or in the regionals. So it goes to the regular season champion Grand Canyon, which Grand Canyon won the conference by a lot. They were the best team in the conference by a lot. They went 23-7 in conference. Very solid squad. And the only reason why they made it in was because Tarleton State did not get in there. Watch out for Grand Canyon. And I'll even say it, I'll have Grand Canyon money line versus Arizona in game 1.
I can see that as well. I can definitely see that too.
If there's a 4 seed that's going to win a game, I would put Grand Canyon in there, and I would put Tulane and Stetson. Those are my 3 that I think have a shot to win a game or 2 in this regional, in their regionals, respectively. West Virginia, I'm not super high on. They went 19-11 in conference, which is solid, but this is a team that's kind of just mediocre down the road. They went 33-22. They had 17-6 at home, 14-14 on the road. And 2-2 on neutral. So not a team that I'm necessarily interested in. I know you kind of like West Virginia. I know they were sitting a 2 seed in regionals and throughout the projected, and they ended up dropping to a 3. If they were a bubble team, I don't think they personally belong in here, but they had a good enough conference schedule, and they finished good enough in the RPIs. They finished 37th in the RPIs, which by the standards was almost good enough to host if Arizona got to host. But I look at this one, I think it's more of a 2-horse race. I like Dalbap still. Dallas Baptist is getting hot at the right time. They won 4 in a row. They just won the conference against some good teams. Louisiana Tech is a tournament team right now. And then they beat Western Kentucky, FIU, New Mexico State. Not to mention, you look at Dalbap, they have some good wins this year. They took out Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State. They have a win against Oklahoma, who's hosting. They have a win against Alabama. Oh, they also have a win against Arizona, Oklahoma State. Another game against Oklahoma. This Dalbap team is competitive, and they have a shot to do damage here. I'm taking Dalbap, and real quick look at Arizona. They won the Pac-12. That's why they ended up getting to host. I don't think they were deserving to be honest, but they get to host nonetheless. I don't think they make it out. I'll take Dalbap plus 140 to win the conference, and I think Dalbap loses in supers to UNC.
Plus 650 for Dalbap to reach Omaha. I'm not betting them to make Omaha. I won't do that. I will take some Dalbap at plus 140. That's where I end up settling on. And yeah, the idea of West Virginia is fun, but I see Dallas Baptist as I see Dallas Baptist as the best team in this regional. And maybe West Virginia shouldn't be plus 400 to Arizona, but they could be up in that plus 3, plus 400 range to Dalbap. So I'll take plus 140 with Dalbap to win the regional here.
Get it. All right, we actually have a chat. Will Smith has hit 5 from. Okay,
Don't want to hear
That's
about the
tough.
Dodgers.
I'm in my happy place with college baseball. I'm not looking to talk Mets. Diaz down. I'm not looking to talk Mets. Sup. D-backs tomorrow. Mets are I'm not interested in talking about the Mets. I'm in my happy place right now. Can't wait for the Dodgers-Yankees series next week. Thanks for teaching us about Ncaa. I know nothing about it. There you go. This is probably the one series I would have to go chalk with.
I have no interest in betting this whatsoever. Maybe you throw Arkansas on a parlay. Let's get into it, though. The Fayetteville Regional, Arkansas Razorbacks, the number 5 national seed here. They finished 43-14 in the SEC, 33-3 in Fayetteville this year. They're the 5th overall in the RPI as well. So they got their ranking correct. Their 2 seed will be Louisiana Tech. 45-17 in Conference USA. They were 29th in the RPI, and they're 12-10 away from La Tech this year. Kansas State finished 45th in the RPI, 32-24 in the Big 12, 9-14 away from Huntington there Manhattan. My bad, Manhattan in Kansas there, and out of. And your 4 seed here, if I can find them here, are they southeast? No, why is
OVC, Ohio Valley?
OVC? Yeah, no, I'm trying to find. There we go. Oh, okay, it was Southeast Mo State. I'm trying to control F and type in these teams so I can find them. They went 32-25 this year out of the Ohio Valley Conference. They were 15-12 on the road, 132 in the RPI. They won the Ohio Valley, which is why they are where they are. I don't see anybody beating Arkansas in this regional. I truly don't.
Nope.
And I don't really see who's the 12th seed again?
Virginia. Virginia, Mississippi State, St. John's Penn.
Maybe Virginia beats Arkansas in the Supers, but that's a tough way to go through Fayetteville there. They're minus 290 to win the regional. Absolutely no interest in that. And they are minus what? Let me find them here. To win the Super, they're minus 105 to win the Super Regional and make Omaha. There's no value in anything here. I have no interest in Louisiana Tech, no interest in Kansas State. I see, just running through this regional, Arkansas. And I really don't feel like I need to take a stab here.
I don't feel like you do. And yeah, minus 290. I got minus 190. That was the only kind of thing, because I put all my regional picks out there. This is the only chalk one that I put out, just because I don't see anybody beating Arkansas. And it's set up nicely for Arkansas. They don't have to use Hagen Smith versus SEMO. They set them up to go up against Louisiana Tech, and nobody's beating Arkansas 2 games in a row. Just not going to happen. Arkansas 43-14, 20-10 in conference. They bombed out of the SEC tournament, losing both games. They're 33-3 at home, and Omaha runs through them. Now, I will say, I do like a different team to make Omaha out of these 2 regionals. Do they play? And they did play earlier in the year, and the team that I like took 2 out of 3. And it was in Fayetteville, which was Mississippi State. We'll talk about that in a minute. But we'll kind of briefly go through all these. Louisiana Tech, 45-17, solid team out of the Conference USA. 18-6 in conference, 30-7 at home, but 12-10. They just don't have enough to compete against Louisiana Tech. Kansas State shouldn't have made it in the tournament. They were a bubble team. I think College of Charleston was better. I think TCU was better. TCU had a better head-to-head record against each other, and they were the same 15-15 in conference. So I don't believe that Kansas State belongs in there, which makes them a very dangerous team. No, they're not doing anything. I think they lose to Kansas. I think they lose to Louisiana Tech. I think they beat SEMO, and I think they lose to Louisiana Tech. This is going to be a pretty straightforward. I don't see any upsets in this regional. That being said, watch SEMO come out next week. Anyways, and then we'll talk SEMO for about 4 seconds. I'm not going to say they suck. 34-15 overall, 18-9 in conference. Positive road record of 15-12, but they didn't really play much. They did play Dalbap in the first weekend of the year. They got swept. They have a win against the SEC school. It was the bottom one in Mizzou. Other than that, this team has no big wins. They didn't play anybody good. I'm not really. I had Moorhead making that regional, making it out, and they didn't. I thought they would have had a shot to upset somebody, but they couldn't make it out of the conference tournament. Arkansas runs through this one. I don't really see it. Stopped you. You're good. No, I don't mind the MLB talk. You're fine. You guys can talk in the chat about it. But yeah, I see that one as a very straightforward regional, and we'll move on. I don't have Arkansas making Omaha though, Nick.
Yeah, I do have the winner of this region making Omaha though, and I know I'm gonna disagree with you here. I'm gonna disagree with you, and I've already bet it.
Perfect.
Let's get into it here. We have the Charlottesville regional. The number 12 national seed, Virginia Cavaliers -115, Mississippi State -105, St. John's 14-1, Penn 25-1. Let's get into it here. We are starting it off with the Cavaliers out of the ACC, 41-15 this year, 26-7 in Charlottesville. They were the 12 seed in the RPI. And then we move on to Mississippi State, which a lot of people say got shafted a little bit. The RPI says no, that they should be a 2 seed. They finished 25th in RPI, Mississippi State. So Mississippi State, I don't know if they should have hosted a regional, and they didn't. So there's that. And then they were 38-21 in the SEC this year, and they're 8-9 on the road. So they struggle away from Mississippi State. They struggle away from home. And then next we have St. John's out of the Big East, 37-16. They're 12-10 away from home. They're 51st in the RPIs here. And then we have the Penn Quakers, who made a little bit of noise last year out of the Ivy League. I believe they made a regional final in the I forgot which regional it was.
Auburn.
But Auburn regional. That's right. And they were 24-23 this year. They're 11-15 away from Penn. They were 180th in the RPI. Obviously, the odds here are telling you that it's going to be Virginia and Mississippi State in the regional final. And I agree with that statement. I do. That being said, I'll take Virginia to win the regional here. I like them in Charlottesville. We saw last year, Charlottesville is a great home field for them. They play really well in Virginia. And we look at just the odds in this one here. I disagree with this regional being a pick'em between these two teams. I would have Virginia around a 140, 150 in this regional. I disagree with this being a pick'em. I think the only reason why it is because Mississippi State has the SEC logo next to their name. And yes, they probably got hot a little bit at the end there. They're a team I know you like an awful lot because they are a team that resembles what Ole Miss did a couple years ago. I know. I think they run into the wrong team with the Virginia here. And the Cavaliers are still a team with amazing offense, and their pitching is, I think, good enough to win the regional. And I think they can give Arkansas hell in the Super Regional. I'm taking them -115 to win the Charlottesville Regional, and then +270 to win the Super Regionals and make Omaha.
Let's just start off by saying I have Mississippi State to win Omaha at 35-1. We'll start off with that. Granted, I thought they would be hosting a regional. This team went. You know what? I'll dig deep into the big two teams in a minute. We'll quickly give St. John's and Penn their flowers. St. John's won the Big East. Good job. That has one other team in the field. So they're a two-bid league now because UConn got in as well. We talked about them earlier. I don't see St. John's doing anything. They had a win against Florida earlier in the year. Cool. Other than that, they really didn't play much, and they really didn't have any wins. So I'm not really too impressed with anything involving involving St. John's. And then Penn went 24-23. I would call them the second worst team in the field, behind what was it, LIU? Oral Roberts. I said Oral Roberts was worse in the league, worse in the pool. I don't think Penn's doing anything. And the odds, and we said that earlier. You said that earlier. The odds tell you everything you need to know. This is a two-bid conference, or a two-dog race. And I have Mississippi State. This is a Mississippi State team that 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks into the season, where all the fans were calling to get the coach fired. Then they went on a big run and almost hosted a regional. And there was points where they were hosting a regional. And then they kind of fell apart in the SEC tournament, so they kind of couldn't do it anymore. I still think Mississippi State's a very strong team. And if there's a team that's the most pissed off in this field, there's two teams. It's Mississippi State and it's Duke. I could see both of them making Omaha. I could. I have Mississippi State winning it all. And I'm not impressed with Virginia. Virginia had a solid year, 41-15 in ACC, and then went 18-12 in conference. They had a couple of weird series. They had a couple of a series lost to Miami was definitely rough for them. They had a nice series win against Wake Forest, which was good for them. Sweep against Pitt, but who doesn't do that? They lost 2 out of 3 to Duke. They took 2 out of 3 from North Carolina. Just a team that they lost 2 out of 3 to Georgia Tech, which made the field surprisingly. But I just don't see they lost 2 out of 3 to them. To NC State, they swept Virginia Tech, and then kind of fell apart in the ACC tournament. I personally, I'm going Mississippi State here. I've been on their futures for a little bit. I've been backing them a bunch. I have them making Omaha. So Mississippi State for me in this regional.
Yeah, and I do think this is a potential toss-up region, but I just thought Virginia should be more along the lines of 135-140, which is why
I will say with that. Whoever wins Saturday night wins the regional. Because I don't see one of the teams beating the other one twice in a row. Like in a win or go home type of thing. Whoever gets the upper hand there gets the win. So that's how I would look at it. Now, I'm going to call this regional the most exciting one.
And I think both of us have a pick in this one. I'm gonna bet one team out of this region to not only win this regional, but
make Omaha
to make Omaha. And I'm seeing a pretty nice price tag on them too. And it's not minus 270. I think we're on 2 different teams.
Ah, damn. Okay, that's fine.
We'll see. We'll start it. This is the College Station region, with your host Texas A&M, the number 2 team in the RPI rankings, 44-13 this year. They're 32-3 at home. What an electric atmosphere this will be. The home of the Ball 5 chants. This is one of the best atmospheres in college baseball here in College Station.
For sure.
The 2 seed, Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns out of the Sun Belt Conference. I gotta say, the Sun Belt Conference got really screwed with their placements where they had to go to Tennessee and A&M. They're plus 475 to win the region. They're 40-18 on the year. They're 14-5 away from home, though. So the Raging Cajuns on the road were decent, but that's Sun Belt competition. You're an SEC country now. And then we have a future SEC school, the Texas Longhorns, 35-22, 11-5 away from Austin this year. They finished 47th in the RPI this season, and they started playing better later in the year. And then we have Grambling State out of where were they? Out of the SWAC. They go 25-26, 9-12 away. They're 236 in the RPI. Needless to say, I have no interest in Grambling State any way, shape, or form. I'll probably lay the runs with A&M against Grambling State.
Yes.
I have an interest, and I think this is the only – no, I don't think this was the only 3 seed I had written down. I like Texas in this regional at plus 375 and Texas to make Omaha at plus 850. I think this is my biggest stab at an Omaha team in this one, where I think this is the other than obviously 11-1 with Stenson, but Texas here is a team where they started playing better as the season went along. And I see them as a potential 3 seed. That's a sleeper in this regional. Granted, they have to play ULL to start it, but if they get past ULL, I think this is a team very live to beat A&M. And I think the winner of this regional probably makes Omaha, because you're looking at the other side of this regional, which we'll get into in a second, being the Gauchos of UC Santa Barbara, San Diego, the Torreos of San Diego, Oregon Ducks, or Fresno State. Now, granted, if Texas wins this regional, most likely they'll have to travel for the super regional out west, whether it's San Diego or Santa Barbara. It could be Oregon as well. But that being said, this will be the biggest shot I take, I think, for a team to make a super regional or to win a super regional. I'm taking the Longhorns at plus 375 to win the region and plus 850 to win in the super regionals.
Now, I will say this right off the rip. I have a ticket for Texas to win Omaha at 70-1. Now, I don't like it as much because they are not they're not hosting a regional. That's what I was hoping for, was for them to host a regional. And when it comes to it, they're not. So I'm going to go away from them. And by the way, the only way they were going to host a regional is if they won the Big 12, which they went 0-2 in the Big 12. So there you go. Let's look at Texas A&M real quick, because that's the top team in the non-conference, but in the regional, 44-13 this year, very solid squad. They fell apart. They went 0-2 in the SEC tournament, losing to Tennessee and Mississippi State. Not bad losses, considering where both those teams are. And when it comes to it, the team that I'm most interested in is those Raging Cajuns. I know I had them last year in the same regional, because I believe it was the same regional last year. A&M, I believe A&M hosted. No, sorry, it was Miami that hosted the regional with ULL and Texas, both in it, and then Maine. I see ULL, and I took a shot. Probably the weirdest one I have, ULL to make Omaha at 12-1. I took a shot with them. This is a team that I've been following through one of the smaller conferences, and I think they have the pitching. I think they have the offense, and I'm taking ULL to win the regional. Forgot to mention Grambling State. They're 26-26. They're not doing anything. Okay, cool. They're getting blown out by Texas A&M, and they're getting blown out by Texas. That's what they get to go to Grambling. That's what they get to go to College Station for. It's 2 blowout games and move on. Give me ULL to win the regional at 3.
Yeah, that'll be a fun 2-3 matchup, though. That'll be a fun 2-3.
ULL at 370 to win the conference that I got it at, and 12-1 to make Omaha. But this should definitely be one of the most exciting ones.
Yeah, I'm definitely very interested. And it'll probably be A&M winning the region, but we're taking shots here in this one. This is definitely, I think, one where A&M look like one of the best teams in the nation. They still are, and they very well can easily just run through this regional they can cut through this like it's warm butter. But
for sure,
we'll see.
For sure,
yeah. By the way, an interesting
let's go
futures here. If you're looking to win the World Series here, Texas has the same odds as UC Santa Barbara and Arizona as a 3 seed.
Makes sense. What are they at? 70-1 still?
50 to 1. 50 to 1.
Oh, wow. So I even got a good price on it.
Mm-hmm. You got 50. Yeah. And Texas would be a long shot that I would be willing to take. I think if I'm looking to take shots here.
Even if I'm not going to be mad if Texas makes it out.
Yeah. I would like to add, I think, 3 longer shots to win the College World Series. And because I already have ECU from a free bet earlier in the year, I would like to take a stab with Texas at 50 to 1. I would like to take a stab with Virginia at 30 to 1 for ones we've already talked about. And then another one later in the tournament that we have not talked about yet. But I'm going to make a move on 50 to 1 for them to win the College World Series and 30 to 1 on Virginia as well. Small bets.
Sounds good.
Small bets.
Do y'all feel like the bookmakers are pretty good at setting lines on these games, or exploitable? Definitely exploitable. Although it's a lot more exploitable during the regular season. That's why I did so well during the regular season for college baseball. During regionals, Omaha, when everybody's betting it, might not be as easy. But if you know the teams, I think you could ride with it. This is probably one of the uglier regionals, I will say.
Yeah, and I had one team written down that I would like to get involved with heading into this that I'm going to flip the script on it and take a different team. Let's get into it here. We have the Santa Barbara regional here with the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos out of the Big West, 42-12 this year. And the one thing that caught my attention, 13th in the RPI, in Santa Barbara, a perfect 25-0 record at home. They were the only team in Division I baseball to have an undefeated home record. The only team to win every single home game this year. In their 2 seed will be the Toreros of San Diego out of the West Coast Conference, who finished 40-13, 18-9 away from San Diego, 19th in the RPI. The one I originally had written down were the Ducks of Oregon, 37-18 out of the Pac-12, 52nd overall in the RPI. And then the 4 seed, an interesting one here. Fresno State, granted 182 in the RPI, 33-27 overall this year, 13-15 away from home. Not a team I'm going to get involved with here because I am going to challenge San Diego, Oregon, or Fresno State to hand UC Santa Barbara their first home loss is the way I'm going to approach this. Give me Santa Barbara to win the regional. At even money here. I had intentions on taking Oregon until I saw how good Santa Barbara is at home. I get it. I know the argument. They haven't played anybody. I'm aware. They haven't. That being said, 25-0 against I don't give a fuck who is still a very good record at home. You win all 25 baseball games you played at home. Now I get it. Basketball, football, those sports you can run the table at home easier. Baseball, your pitcher could be off for an inning and you're done. So this UC Santa Barbara team, I'm going to take them to win their regional. That's it. I see Texas beating them in the super regionals, but even money for UC Santa Barbara to win the regional. I think people are going to get way too cute on this regional and pick this one as the one where, like, this is the one the upset can happen in. I'm not going to play that game. I think Santa Barbara is the best team in this regional. I don't think it's close. San Diego is a close number 2. But I'm going to take Santa Barbara at even money here. I'm going to challenge either one of these 3 teams to give Santa Barbara their first home loss this year.
I think you could have made an argument for San Diego hosting. I know they were 19th.
Not over Santa Barbara now. Yeah.
Not over Santa Barbara, but over some of these. I think you could have made an argument for them over Arizona, and as much as we love them, over our Pirates. But I looked at this one. I like San Diego. And yes, I'll quickly mention Santa Barbara's undefeated home record. They have 3 good wins at home out of the 25. And it was the beginning of March against UConn when they were struggling. Other than that, there was no good home wins. And that's why I'm a little bit worried about Santa Barbara. San Diego, I have winning the region. I got San Diego at 250. Now it's at 230. This is a San Diego team. Can I please get their schedule? Because I know they had a couple of nice wins. They lost 2 out of 3, but at least they won a game against Texas. Can we please get this going? Thank you. That game got canceled. They won a game against Dalbap, even though they lost 2 out of 3. They had a win against USC, which almost made the tournament. 2 wins against USC that almost made the tournament. And then they were on a nice run to end the year. San Diego, 10 straight. That's going to be very good. 10 straight wins for San Diego to end the year. 14 straight for Santa Barbara. So it's going to be a really solid one. Oregon, I think you're going to get Oregon's one of those teams where people are going to remember them from last year. They made a super regional last year. Remember that?
Yeah. Also, the argument you can make with Oregon, which I think I fell right into this bias before I actually my first look was, Oregon, give me Oregon. And they're a Power 5 school, and they're the only Power 5 school in this regional, and they're a 3 seed. I think that's going to grab a lot of attention from people.
It should. It will 100% grab a lot of attention from people. Not me. I like San Diego to get out of the regional. And Fresno State, I will say I was on Fresno State to after a while to win the Big West because I jumped on them late and they ended up winning the Big West. Looked good in the tournament, won 4 straight games. I don't think Fresno State really has a shot here. I like San Diego coming off of a nice tournament win, coming out of the what tournament did it came in? The WCC. So good tournament win from San Diego. I'll honestly make an argument they could have probably hosted a regional. I'm taking them here at plus 250. I got 250.
Sure.
Yeah, college baseball is like horse racing for me. Never bet on either before. That's fair. I've been betting on college baseball the past 3 years now. I will say this is the first year that I really took it seriously. So, but this one should be a fun regional.
Yeah, let's get into it here. We have the Clemson Tigers, the host, number 6 seed in the nation. They were 7th in the RPI, 41-14, 26-7 at home this year. They get to host. Hey, ready? Here it is again, Tim. We have an ACC school hosting a regional, so 2 seeds got to be from the SEC. The Vanderbilt Commodores, 20th in the RPI this year, 38-21 overall, 27-8 at home, but they're 4-12 away from Vanderbilt this year. They were a bad road team. Granted, 7-1 on neutral sites, but 4-12 away from home. Bad. That's terrible. Which I think is going to end up keeping me off of Vandy here. Coastal Carolina, your 3 seed, they were 36th in the RPI ranking. They got an at-large bid out of the Sun Belt Conference, 34-23 overall this year, 9-12 away from Conway this season. And then we have the High Point Panthers out of the Big South. The Big South champions, 124th in the RPI ranking, 34-25 overall, 11-11 away from High Point this year. My initial thought was, I'm going to go ahead and bet Vanderbilt in this one here. I'm pumping the brakes on this one. Do I think Vandy can win the regional? Yeah, they probably still could win the regional. I'm not going to say they can't, but this is a spot where I'm not as interested anymore. This is one of those where I have a bunch written down that I wanted to talk out before I went ahead and bet, and this is definitely one of them where I'm going to sit back and I'm going to not pull the trigger on this one. It would be Vandy or nothing. It would still be Vandy or not. Like that. The only way I want to look is Vanderbilt in this one. I wish they were a better team away from Nashville, though. So, granted, probably a lot of those were SEC competition, but Clemson's right up there with the SEC schools. So, it's a stay-off spot for me.
Vanderbilt's going to be one of the last 2 teams remaining in the entire tournament. You ready for it? The fact that Clemson's this small of a favorite to win their regional is a little bit crazy to me. This is a Clemson team that went 41-14 this year, 20-10 in the SEC, was really, really solid at home. And I thought they should have been a little bit bigger favorites. The fact that they're not is a little bit crazy because you look at Vanderbilt, although Vanderbilt was really solid. 38-21, although not solid for Vanderbilt standards. Let's get that out of the way now. Not good for Vanderbilt standards. Because a 644 win percentage, a 13-17 conference record is definitely not good for them. They kind of turned it around at the end of the year, though. They were kind of turning it around a little bit more like in the SEC tournament because they almost made a nice run. They took out Florida. They beat the number 1 team in Tennessee. They beat Mississippi State, and then they lose to Tennessee. Close game, 6-4, with a chance to go to the SEC championship game. Vanderbilt almost played themselves into a regional, which is crazy to say because they lost most of their conference games. Vanderbilt ended up finishing 20 in the RPIs. I took a shot with them at 30-1 to win the entire thing. I'm not super high on Clemson. Clemson finished 7th in the RPI rankings. And something with Clemson, they look good in the regional. Like, they look good all regular season, and then they fall flat in the regional. I think they fall flat here. And I'm not even going to acknowledge – I'll acknowledge one team in this tournament. Congratulations, High Point, on reaching a regional for the first time in program history. That's very impressive to see. I'm very happy for them. Coastal did not deserve to be in here. Not even close. The fact that this team goes – 30-23, 16-14 in conference, 7th in the Sun Belt. Yeah, sure, you can come in. No, I don't think they deserve to be in.
Probably really good, but I mean, still.
Now, it does help when you have a member on the committee, like Coastal does.
We should be talking about College of Charleston in this spot, though, not Coastal Carolina.
I agree. It should be Charleston in that Coastal spot. And I would have taken them to win the regional. Give me Vandy here. Yeah. Give me Vandy here at plus 155. Oh, what did I get on them? Vanderbilt, I got at 175. I think they're the best team in this regional. I took them to make Omaha as well because I see them beating Oklahoma State. And I think they make it out of that. I think they make it to the championship, the best of 3 championship at the end. So sign me up for Vanderbilt. Yeah, I'm high on this Vanderbilt team. I am.
I'm interested in them. I'm not going to pull the trigger on it. But yeah,
that's a good question. What is the SEC versus the field for the championship? Is there an odds for that? I don't think there's odds for that. But the SEC has 11 teams.
I saw on DraftKings they had odds for the winning conference. I believe they had odds for the winning conference. I'll look that up. I'll look that up when we're going to break down the next conference or the next region in a second here, which is the Oklahoma State region. When Tim's breaking down that one, or actually we have time. Let's look it up real quick. College World Series. No, okay.
Let's be honest. The SEC is probably still going to win the College World Series.
Probably. But yeah, I mean, I need to maybe it's on FanDuel to have SEC versus the field, because the SEC, basically the College World Series is nicknamed the SEC Invitational because 11 of their 14 teams made it, which is insane to say the least.
Can I say for next year?
Yeah,
I think they'll break that record.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. You can get any regional 4 seed to reach Omaha now. You can get the College World Series Conference of Champions. Not yeah. Let's take a look here. For the SEC to win the title is minus 160. The ACC is plus 270. The Big 12 is 12-1. The Pac-12 is 15-1. Any other conference is 6-1.
Give me 6-1.
Any other conference, yeah. So yeah, so that the SEC is minus 160 to win the national championship. That's another one where I had a team I had circled I would like to back for this regional, and at the price, it's not a bad price to back them here. But let's get into it here. The Oklahoma State Cowboys is the Stillwater regional here. Oklahoma State out of the Big 12 finished 40-17, 21-5 in Stillwater this year, 11th in the RPI. They will have the 2-seed Nebraska Cornhuskers out of the Big 10, who finished 39-20, 18-8 at home this year, 15-9 away from Nebraska, which matters more in this, and 28th in the RPI. And then I feel bad for Oklahoma State because their 3-seed in this region is Florida. You have an SEC 3-seed. They're plus 180 to win the regional here in this spot, and I'm going to look to take Nebraska in the first game. Florida Gators went 28-27 this year, 9-12 away from Gainesville. And then we get the Niagara Purple Eagles out of the MAAC, 38-15 this year, 23-12 away from home, 103 in the RPI. My initial plan was to bet Nebraska to win this regional. I'm pulling back from that one here, and here's where I'm going to go with this. Nebraska wins the first game. Nebraska beats Florida in their 2-3 matchup because they throw their best pitcher out there. Which I believe, who is it? It's why am I drawing a blank? They have a first round pitcher that's probably going to go against Florida here. They're going to beat Florida, but then they're going to have to face Oklahoma State with not their best pitcher, and that's where they're going to trip up. I don't want Oklahoma State at minus 125, but I don't want Nebraska here. I think Nebraska wins the first game. I don't know if they go any further than that. I have full intentions on Nebraska in their 2-3 matchup probably being one of my bigger bets in the first day of action for Nebraska to beat Florida, because I know we're going to get dog price on them, even though they're the 2 versus the 3, because people love Florida. I don't think Florida's that good of a team here. Oklahoma State probably wins the regional. They're a favorite for a reason. I had Nebraska written down as a team I would have liked to back. I can only look Nebraska if I'm betting this, but I don't like the matchup Nebraska is going to get in the second game against Oklahoma State, where they'll probably face Oklahoma State's ace because they get Niagara in the first game, which is going to be a cakewalk for them. So Nebraska would be the only team I look at to back to win the regional. I don't have an interest in backing it, though.
Here's how I'm going to approach this one. I have Oklahoma State to win the regional. I'm going to be betting every single game of this regional over the total. The stadium works perfectly for Florida. This is the exact regional Florida wanted, because what do they struggle with this year? Pitching. You do not have to worry about pitching in Stillwater. Not even. You remember Nick, remember 2 years ago, the Oklahoma State, Arkansas back and forth?
Arkansas, and it was also the Missouri State game against Oklahoma State.
Where Missouri
they were
State
up 10
was
runs and lost
12?
by 10.
And that pitching's not going to be a problem here. Well, pitching will be a problem. Offense will come galore. So if you're a average fan that just wants to see offense, here you go. Which plays into Florida's hands. I think it goes like this. Oklahoma State beats Niagara. Shouldn't be tough.
Mm-hmm.
I think Florida beats Nebraska. Oklahoma State takes down Florida. Nebraska takes out Niagara. Florida takes out Nebraska again. Oklahoma State wins. I Florida wins one against Oklahoma State, and it goes all the way. But this will be one of the more fun regionals to watch if you're an average fan, because the offense is going to go crazy. You even get to see this. This is just a Florida team that's really good offensively. So that I saw. But Oklahoma State looked really good down the stretch. They won the Big 12. It's just a team that I want to trust in the tournament until they go and play Vanderbilt in Super Regionals. I think that Vandy beats them in Super Regionals. Oklahoma State gets it out, but let's bet every single game over the total. Shout out to the Niagara Purple Eagles for making the tournament. 38-15. They were a solid team. Unfortunately for them, they're running into a very tough regional.
Yeah.
Let's keep going, Nick. We got 4 more regionals to break down.
Yeah, and this is one I really don't have an interest in betting wise. We have the Lexington Regional here. Kentucky, your number 1 seed in this one. They were the national ranked team. They were number 3 in the RPI, 40-14, co-regular season champions with Tennessee, 21-6 in Lexington this year. As the 2 seed, it is the Sycamores of Indiana State. 10th in the RPI and heading to Lexington. That's messed up. Yep. That's a terrible draw for Illinois State.
You know what? State, I'll give you this argument for Illinois State. For Indiana State. Win your conference.
Yep.
Win your conference tournament.
Next in the 3 seed,
you're in a small conference. You need to win your conference tournament.
Yep. We have Illinois, who are the 48th team in the RPI rankings out of the Big Ten, 34-19. 8-10 away from Illinois this year. And then we get the MAC champion Western Michigan Broncos, 31-21, 15-7 away from Western Michigan, 128th in the RPI. I think this is a terrible draw for the Sycamores in this one here. As for I see Kentucky winning this regional rather comfortably. And without a sweat. I think Indiana State can maybe force this to a Game 7. But am I looking to back any of this? No. This is one where if you like to do parlays, you probably throw Kentucky in there with like Tennessee to win their regional, with Arkansas to win their regional, and stuff like that, where you put a few favorites together. I would look towards Kentucky to win their regional here in this one, but this price is just way too big for me. I only have 2 more teams that I'm looking to grab futures with here, or props or futures with in the rest of this. So, and one team is one of my natties. So,
I will say one of my Omaha 8 is Kentucky. I think they got a nice draw, and when it comes to it, This is a good draw altogether for Kentucky. I know Indiana State somehow reached top 10 in RPI, and I look at their schedule. It's nothing crazy. They have a win. Let's see, wins against against tournament teams. UConn, cool. They lost a series to Southern Miss, but they at least won a game. They got blown out by Vanderbilt. They beat Illinois, so there you go. A little head-to-head there. They have a win against Illinois. It was on March 12th. They have a win against Indiana, which probably shouldn't have made the tournament to begin with. Who else do they have a win against? They won a series against Evansville. There's a tournament team for you. But when I look at it, I'm not necessarily impressed with Indiana State's resume. I understand why they got shot down after not winning their tournament. I feel like in order for them to have hosted, they needed to win their tournament. Kentucky's clearly the best team here. Illinois had a nice run through the Big Ten. I think they had to put them in. 34-19. They were going to put them in. So just unfortunate for the two of them. But I do think that Kentucky is clearly the best team here. I got minus 145, so this line is clearly shotting up. I got minus 145 for Kentucky to win the regional. I don't see anybody coming close.
Sure.
Let's keep rolling through these.
Yeah, we have 4 more remaining. We had the Corvallis regional here. I don't have really any interest in
one of them is my Omaha 8.
Oh, yep. And I guess I'll throw together mine as well. And they'll correlate to the ones I pick for. Yeah. Oregon State, out of the Pac-12, 42-14, 24-2 in Corvallis this year. Such a tough place to play in Oregon State there. 18th in the RPI ranking. So they're outside the top 16 and still got the host there. They get the 2 seed UC Irvine Anteaters, who are 27th in the RPI, 43-12 overall out of the Big West, 20-5 away from Irvine this year. They were a hell of a road team. Granted, they play in the Big West. Not great competition there.
Mm-hmm.
And then this regional has the 4 seed or the 3 seed, way bigger odds than the 4 seed, which caught my attention a little bit here. Nicholls State, 15-1 out of the Southland. They were the 61st team in the RPI rankings. They finished 34-20, 14-11 record away from Nicholls State. And then we get the Tulane Green Wave out of the American Athletic Conference, who won the AAC tournament in Clearwater. 86th in the RPI, 35-24 this year, and 12-11 away from Tulane. I don't have any interest in the 4 seed here in Tulane. I think Oregon State runs over them. I think Oregon State runs over this over this region. I think they got a really easy draw, the Beavers, and I look for the Beavers to head to Lexington to play Kentucky in the Super Regionals, and probably give Kentucky a little bit of a battle.
Obviously, this is another one. The line shot up. I got plus 105 for Oregon State to win the regional on DK. So that's another one that shot up like crazy. And I will say I was not high on Irvine the entire year. They're another team that didn't play anybody. I thought was ranked way too high because you look at their schedule. They played, in my opinion, they played nobody. Of course, my computer's being a little bit slow. I will say they swept Tulane. Irvine swept Tulane earlier in the year. So I'll throw that one out there. They have a win against Fresno State, who made the tournament, but they went 1-1 against them. They won 2 out of 3 from Santa Barbara. I'll give them that one. That's a really good series win. Other than that, they've got nothing else. So I'm not really. And by the way, there was no conference tournament for Irvine, so they're even coming off of way too long of a rest for me. And I look at Nicholls State shouldn't do it, and I think Tulane should have been the 3 seed in this regional over Nicholls State. I think if there's a 4 seed that has the best chance at making it out of a regional, ding ding, Tulane. Honestly, I think Tulane has the best shot to make it out of the regional as a 4 seed. But at the same time, we saw them last year go to LSU and get whomped. But LSU ended up winning the national championship. Take a shot with Tulane if you want to. I personally got Oregon State at plus 105. That's where I'm going to go with this one.
I wish I could have gone. I would have taken a shot with Oregon State at plus 105. I missed that opportunity.
Yeah, it was on DK.
Yeah.
Let's keep rolling, Nick. We got 2 more regionals and ready for an upset?
Yes, me too. This is one I have regional picks for these next 2. We start off. This is the 4 seed, or this is the 7-seeded Georgia Bulldogs, who are 6th in the RPI, 39-15 this year out of the SEC, 29-5 there in Athens. The 2 seed, Wilmington. We got the UNCW Seahawks here out of the Colonial Athletic Association, 39-19, 34th in the RPI. They were 13-10 away from Wilmington this year. We get Georgia Tech, somehow your 3 seed, in this one here. 31-23 out of the ACC, 49th in the RPI. Kind of surprised me to see them make it, especially over teams like Maryland and Charleston and Xavier and TCU. It really surprised me to see them make it. And then Army, West Point out of the Patriot League.
It didn't surprise me.
Yeah, 31-21 for the Army, West Point, 121st overall, 11-7 away from Army there. I did take a shot with the Seahawks at plus 325 here with UNCW. I think this is a team that can compete with my next regional winner. I have the next regional winner, making it all the way to Omaha, though. But I think Wilmington can make a lot of make some noise here, and potentially a Wilmington NC State Super Regional could be a lot of fun. A little bit of a hint towards the next regional there. That could be a fun little regional super there. But I'll take a shot with Wilmington.
I'll call your Wilmington and I'll raise you them going to Omaha. Give me the Seahawks going to Omaha. This is a UNCW team I got to see in person this year. I went out to Wilmington for the ECU Wilmington game. That one went 10 innings, back and forth, hard fought game by the Seahawks. Not to mention, I'm going to talk about Wilmington first. They took both games from NC State this year. Like they had, and they didn't get to play UNC because their game got canceled against UNC because of weather. This is a Wilmington team that had a very solid season. Yeah, an 8-7 game in 10 innings against ECU. Oh, they got run ruled by UNC. Never mind. They haven't went against Coastal. They lost 2 out of 3 to Charleston. But you look at it, this is just a team that they went and swept Campbell. And then they went and ran the CAA, beat Delaware, beat CFC, beat CFC. And they won 4 straight to end the year. Watch out for the Seahawks. That's all I'm going to say. 39-19, 20-7 in conference. This is a solid squad. Now, I will mention Georgia had a very, very good year. 7th overall seed. Of course, you can't overlook them. They have the number 1 overall pick with Condon, which is the biggest power bat in the entire country. But I'm taking Wilmington. Georgia Tech was a bubble team. I don't really think I can understand the argument for them getting in. They have some nice series wins. They swept NC State earlier in the year. Then they got swept by UNC. What was the other big? They had another big win. Series win against Virginia Tech. Series win against Virginia. Series win against Miami in Miami. They took a game from them. How about a series win versus Duke? It's the same argument that I had for who do you call it? NC State hosting a regional earlier on because, and we'll talk about them. They had wins against the top 5 teams in the ACC. Georgia Tech had some big wins as well. And then Army's going to get blown out. We saw it last year. They made it to the they went to the Charlottesville regional. They got blown out by Virginia. They got blown out by Oklahoma and went home. I don't see them doing anything. Give me Wilmington to win the region at plus 340. I got it. 380. I got 380 on Wilmington. So go see.
Maybe I should have not. Maybe I should have put money into a different book, but I just wanted to have it off to the side and not really worry about it. So it's fair.
All good. And that will take us into the final regional, Nick, which I know. And by the way, I have a ticket for Georgia to win the national championship. I'm hedging out of it.
Yeah. Let's get into it, though. NC State, the Raleigh regional, to end it off here. The NC State Wolfpack, 33-20 out of the ACC, 15th in the RPI, 25-7 in Raleigh this year. One of those 7 losses coming to the East Carolina Pirates, but we're not going to mention that. The South Carolina Gamecocks are your 2 seed. We have an ACC team hosting a regional. So the 2 seeds got to be from the Southeastern Conference. 36 and 23 in the SEC, 21st in the RPI. They were 9 and 10 away from South Carolina this year. And then we get a fun little story here. Another Sun Belt team. We get the James Madison Dukes, 34 and 23 in the Sun Belt this year, 44th in the RPI, 9 and 15 away from JMU this year. And then we finish it off with the Bryant Bulldogs out of the American East Conference, 36 and 19, 115th in the RPI, 14 and 15 away from Bryant this year. I think Bryant gets crushed in the first game against NC State. I think NC State runs away with the runs away with this regional and hosts the Super against UNCW. I have NC State to win the regional at minus 105. I have NC State to win the Super Regional at 2-1. And NC State will be the last team I'm riding with out of the 4 that I bet to win the College World Series at 35-1. So I'll be running, and I threw an extra small bet here on ECU at 40-1, just to put them in the group here and have money on Bovada here. They're one of the 4 teams I'm running with to win the national championship. East Carolina, NC State, Texas, and Virginia are my 4 teams. Virginia 30-1, Texas 50-1, 40-1 for ECU, 35-1 for NC State. So those are the 4 teams I'm running with throughout this tournament. And I'm big on the NC State Wolfpack here to make a deep run into Omaha.
I have NC State winning the regional. I'll say that. I got them at plus 125. I will say I'm very happy with all the lines I got. Some of them are a little bit crazy, the fact that I got what I got. I have NC State to win the regional. This is a team that has either a series win or a sweep against the top 5 teams in the ACC, not including them. Clemson, UNC, Duke, Virginia, Wake Forest. They have a winner sweep against all of them. So they can play against good competition. And no, I was not high on South Carolina. South Carolina was a borderline host team. I will say that. This is just an NC State team that knows how to play against good opponents besides ECU, where they lost both games. Anyways, this is an NC State team, though, that is getting hot at the right time with their biggest bat, as much as I freaking hate to say it, Alec Makarevich. And once again, it's a team that I've been backing for a while now. They've made me some money this year. I'll quickly tag on the other teams. South Carolina, another 13 and 17 SEC team in terms of conference record. There's 3 of them in this tournament, with Vanderbilt and Florida being the other 2. This is a South Carolina team that I was not high on. I will probably sprinkle a little bit of James Madison money line in the first game. That being said, I don't think James Madison deserved to be in. Once again, I'm a big advocate for College of Charleston. I think they deserve to be in, not James Madison, but that's beyond the point. We'll move on from that. And then Bryant, nice story to be there, but I'm not really too interested in going after them. NC State wins the regional to kind of close it all out.
Sure.
Luka over Praz, Kyrie under Pra. Good luck, dude. Which, that is all the regionals. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to bring up my Omaha 8. And here we go. And yes, it's not the conventional. East Carolina, Florida State, UNC, Mississippi State, Louisiana Lafayette, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Wilmington. Yes, that is my Omaha 8. I know it looks a little bit wonky, looks a little bit crazy. And I have ECU over Vanderbilt in the finals. So there's my Omaha 8 in my finals. So Nick, you want to go ahead and talk over yours?
Yeah. Let me click it here. Yes, I'm going Homer. East Carolina makes Omaha for the first time in forever.
Not forever.
First time ever. I'm hoping, yeah. I have Stetson to win the regional, so I'm taking Oklahoma to make the super regionals. I have no confidence in any of the 8-9 regionals to really say that. Florida State probably makes the supers, or probably makes Omaha. I'm just throwing Oklahoma in there. Yeah, it is what it is. LSU out of the Chapel Hill region, and having LSU beat Chapel Hill, and then they would play the winner of the Arizona region, which is Dalbap. I have LSU beating Dalbap. Virginia. I like them to win their own regional and then go to Arkansas and beat them there at plus 270. I like Virginia to make Omaha. Texas to win the College Station regional and to then go and beat
Santa Barbara.
14 seed, which is Santa Barbara. Vanderbilt, not super confident in that one, but I think they're the best out of the 6-11 there. Oregon State, I'm going to call upset here on Kentucky. I don't have a lot of high seeds. I've noticed that, but going a little wonky here. Vanderbilt, Oregon State, and then finishing it off with NC State, Wolfpack, to win their super regional against UNCW.
Right on. Thank you guys for all hanging out, talking some college baseball. Maybe we might do a show next week for supers and quickly go over all of them. See how accurate we were on all this. Obviously, we're taking some shots. We're not going to win them all. But thank you guys for hanging out and watching. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel. We're trying to get to 4,000. I believe we're 82 away from 4,000. So try to get us there. We appreciate it. That's going to do it for this edition of the Earl Sports Bet Show, College Baseball Playoff Edition. We'll see you guys again tomorrow morning for the Earl Sports Bet Show. Peace out, guys.